2015-16 Career and Professional Development Speaker Series. My name is Dr. Ken Maker and I'm the president of Medaille College. Welcome to all of you. In the audience this evening we have students, alumni, faculty, and friends of Medaille College for what we think will be an informative and engaging event. Buffalo, the birth of a housing boomtown. Now I'm always challenged when the title of a presentation is supposed to be as a question and I can't figure out how to inflect my voice appropriately. So if you could please join me in giving a warm and special welcome to all of our presenters tonight who are seated in the front row at this point. Here at Medaille, we describe ourselves as Buffalo's college for several reasons. Obviously, we're located right here in the center of the city in this amazing and beautiful campus. We're the center of the Entrepreneurial Assistance Program. We provide community-based learning for our students. And as an organization, we contribute over $120 million to the economic development of this region. Community-based learning is a benefit not only for our students, who get to experience in many cases for the first time what it's like to be contributing members to the community, but it also benefits a vast array of organizations with which they become involved. Our most recent venture is the opening of Lakeside Behavioral Health Clinic, an actual health clinic in one of our perimeter houses, run by Lakeshore Behavioral Health, staffed by their staff, our faculty, and our students. You see, as they are learning, they're also providing the community, they're providing the community with their time, energy, and talents in ways that benefit the community as a whole. Organizations like the Salvation Army, City Mission, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters are just some of the beneficiaries of these programs. Of course, as I said earlier, our students are also beneficiaries as well. They learn how important it is to give of their time and talents and become contributing members of the communities in which they live. They're expected not just to be takers and somebody who comes here to get an education, but they are called to a higher level of giving back to their communities wherever they wind up. This approach is at the very core of Medaille's teaching philosophy, which started with its founders, the Sisters of St. Joseph, way back in 1875. Today, Medaille offers one of the most robust suites of business programs in the area. Through our MBA and Masters of Organizational Leadership programs, our student cohorts have created business plans for some of Buffalo's newest and most successful businesses. Their involvement provides a deep dive into the business world, how it functions, and the strategies that they need not only to survive, but to excel as well as leaders. Here at Medaille, while a challenging and rewarding educational experience is our highest priority, we will also work to create knowledge, contribute to the region's economic prosperity and global competitiveness, and create an empowered citizens through programs like these. Makes sense then when we call ourselves Buffalo's College. We hope that maybe some of you tonight, in tonight's audience, are thinking about continuing your education and that you at least consider Medaille College. We're confident that you will not be sorry that you do. So that's the commercial. I get it, you know. Oh yeah, you know, we gotta be, you know, we're nothing if we're not self-promoting, right? So, but tonight we're presenting Buffalo, the birth of a housing boomtown. I hope so because as I've only been in the community for 5 months and we're renting and my wife and I are looking for a house, I'm looking for pointers on where we can find that next dwelling. And we've put it out there several times. We want to stay in the city. We are interested in being City of Buffalo residents. And I actually got a lead on a place earlier tonight, so this is all working out. There's karma at work here. The entire series has been designed to provide opportunities to learn about the business world or explore current issues and trends in our region. We are thrilled that you have decided to join us here tonight. Tonight we will explore the exciting growth that the city is experiencing in housing. We'll start the evening with a talk from Brendan Mahaffey and then move on to a panel discussion moderated by Jonathan Epstein, with panel members who are a virtual who's who, not a virtual, they actually are the who's who in development. Nick Sinatra, Bill Palladino, Jake Schneider, and Paul Simonelli. Maybe I do need my glasses after all. We will include a Q&A portion at the end, so please use the 3x5 cards that you've received as you came in to write down any questions that you may have. And then pass them to the aisles periodically. Some of our staff will come by and collect them throughout the program. As I said, we'll start things off with Brendan Mahaffey, the Executive Director of the Office of Strategic Planning for the City of Buffalo. Brendan was appointed to this position in March of 2010 as a central part of the city's economic development reorganization effort. He began working as an attorney with the city's law department, where he was the point person on several high-priority, high-profile projects. Prior to working for the city, he worked in private practice and was focused on land use, environmental, and small business development issues. He holds a BA in economics from SUNY Binghamton, a master's degree in urban regional planning from the London School of Economics, and is that London, Ontario, or London, England? So just checking. And a JD in law from the University of Buffalo. Without further ado, Brendan.
Because my father's in the audience tonight, I'll say that was London, England, who actually following in his footsteps, going to the London School of Economics. I'm delighted to see such a large crowd, to the extent that it's because of me as opposed to the extremely distinguished panel. Just one more acknowledgement, if everybody is interested in what I have to say, it's because of what my father and mother did for me as I was growing up. But I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you, President Maker, in terms of the discussion tonight. I'll be honest, I typically shoot from the hip, and I took this invitation about 2 to 3 months ago, and given the job that we have in the City of Buffalo working in the Mayor's office, we're extraordinarily busy now. So it was about a week ago that I came back and I said, okay, what am I talking about again? And I looked at that question, and I actually found it to be an extraordinarily difficult question to answer. So I'm going to spend tonight really kind of focusing on that answer, and to some degree kind of dissecting it a little bit. And it's funny, I thought to myself, I didn't put too much thought into this. It's not like I'm Janet Yellen from the Federal Reserve who has to worry about setting off ripples in the economy, but at the exact same time, I think of one of her predecessors, and the thought of irrational exuberance in terms of what is happening in the city of Buffalo. So I wanted to really touch on a lot of points. Again, just a little bit about me and what we do in the Mayor's Office of Strategic Planning, for those of you that don't know. I work directly with Mayor Brown and his council on development matters in the city of Buffalo. In that capacity, we work on almost all of the development projects. As a matter of fact, every development project in the city of Buffalo comes through my office. We coordinate with the Erie County Industrial Development Agency, the Empire State Development Corporation, Buffalo Niagara Enterprise. We assist with the incentives in that capacity. We also have a significant amount of real estate that we manage, over 7,000 parcels, if you can imagine, that we have to make decisions on in terms of their sale or holding. And some, like Harbor Center, the Webster Block, which was a piece of city real estate, and some vacant lots in really challenged neighborhoods in the city of Buffalo. So, oversee the regulatory boards, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, Environmental Management Commission, Historic Preservation Board, the Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency, which is the agency that focuses on community development, fund affordable housing projects. The mayor is very happy to talk about the fact that it's over almost $250 million of affordable housing projects that have gone forward in the city of Buffalo, almost 1,200 units of affordable housing, much of that funding coming from the Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency. a community planning division that works with communities throughout the city of Buffalo. And then there's citywide planning. Many of you in this room, I hope, have heard of the Green Code and the initiative to completely rewrite the development DNA in the city of Buffalo. Last time that was done, Dwight Eisenhower was president, and this is no longer, obviously, an economy that's reflective of Dwight Eisenhower's economy, so it's time to update that. Then there's the Buffalo Urban Development Corporation that we oversee, in particular focused on brownfields, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but some of the more significant ones are Riverbend, where Solar City right now is building its solar panel manufacturing facility, as well as Northland, which is hopefully our focus, a focus of the mayor for over 20 years now, to be a game changer in terms of economic development in the city of Buffalo. And finally, on the land bank, the Buffalo Erie Niagara Land Improvement Corporation, which is just getting its wings, quite frankly, in terms of doing great things with a lot of the vacant and abandoned property that still is a challenge in this area. So I wanted to start with the question of, is there a boom? And even why we would ask that question in terms of, is there a boom? One of the mayor's favorite talking points is that we, since 2012, have $5.5 billion of real estate development, just real estate development, that is occurring in the city of Buffalo. That specifically talking about housing and residential, as we measure it, that's almost 3,900 units of residential is included in that $5.5 billion number. 1.2 billion of that 5.5 billion is related to residential development, and I think that's probably a conservative number because I think that represents mostly standalone residential projects. So this growth that also we're seeing in the city of Buffalo, I think many of people react to what they see in downtown, and it's certainly not limited to what's downtown. I notice we're joined by Rocco Termini, who maybe wants to be a panelist now. I'm not sure. Are you joining us, Rocco? He's sitting with all the others, who has done a significant amount in terms of downtown and its investment. Rocco now, of course, doing a tremendous amount on Elmwood in North Buffalo with the number of projects that he's doing. Paul Holtmeyer in terms of some adaptive reuse projects happening in downtown Buffalo. Jake Schneider, certainly needing to be recognized for his pioneering efforts. Bill Palladino and his father Carl for what they have done for the downtown area, but it's not limited just to the downtown. The Ohio corridor, Ohio Street corridor right now is undergoing a significant transformation with hundreds of units literally of housing that is being developed along that area. It's extending out to the Outer Harbor with the recent announcement of Freezer Queen and the project that is Jerry Bookheit and others are moving forward out there. Niagara Street, again, many of the developers that are joining us here tonight making significant investments into the lower and upper west side of Buffalo. Hurdle Avenue with a number of significant housing projects. Grant Street, Elmwood, Main Street, South Buffalo with a number of the housing developments that are going on there. The East Ferry Corridor, the Fruit Belt. There are these number of 3,900 units is throughout the city, undoubtedly. So it is not just in one area of what's happening in the city. Again, affordable housing is a significant part of that. And there are many factors that are taken into account in whether we are experiencing a boom. And what I would say is, yes, we are definitely experiencing a boom in the city of Buffalo. That number of about 3,900 units far exceeds anything that has happened in the 10 years before that of what's happened in the city of Buffalo, and even I'd probably say 20 years before that in terms of what's happened in the city of Buffalo. But there's the tangible that you can see in terms of measuring what the boom is, but I'd also like to suggest that there are many other factors that need to be taken into account, and a lot of factors that, other factors that have to be taken into account. Immigration has played a significant role in stabilizing many of our neighborhoods. There is a 95% increase in the number of new Americans that are living in the city of Buffalo. That's west side, that's east side of the city of Buffalo. Really help to stabilize what we have in terms of our housing inventory. Property values I didn't even mention. Those aren't new projects, those are existing properties. And many people living in this neighborhood in South Buffalo on the west side of Buffalo are seeing their property values really increase. Allentown recently, there was a measurement of about 40% over on 1 year in terms of the value that you're seeing in terms of an increase in the property value of a house. Buffalo used to be the steady but sure 3%, and here we have housing values going up by as much as 40% in a single year. So that is a factor that has to be taken into account. Now, something that maybe we only know in City Hall, that demolitions are decreasing, which means that fewer people are abandoning their houses in the city of Buffalo as well. Few of them are going through that process. It is by no means to say that we still don't have challenges, that the number of properties that we have are decreasing. Prices are going up at our tax foreclosure. Fewer properties are, if the city wants to acquire a property at tax foreclosure, we can get few of them. And then one of the anecdotal ones that the mayor had is when he came to us in 2014, he said, you know, Brendan, I want you and your team to set an aggressive housing goal for downtown units in the city of Buffalo for us to meet. And we all got together, and he wants to be aggressive, and we want to be right. So we nonetheless, he pushed us. We came with a conservative number. He pushed us, and we agreed on 1,300 housing units in Buffalo by an additional 1,300 housing units in the downtown area of Buffalo by 2018. Well, by the next year, we were already at 1,200 new housing units announced. So, so the mayor's right, his team was wrong on that one. We've increased that number to 1,800, and quite frankly, I think that number might be wrong as well, and we're going to have to go higher for that number in terms of just the downtown area. So is there a boom? Is that the question that I'm answering there? And the answer is yes, there is a boom. But the point, I think, is why is there a boom in terms of what's going on? I think we have a lot to thank in terms of the demographics in the city of Buffalo, in terms of, and just nationwide in terms of changing. The empty nesters, the millennials, who are desiring walkable neighborhoods, who are desiring less time in the home and more time out enjoying culture and entertainment. It is really created a demand. This has been a nascent demand for quite some time. Many pioneers. I see Ben Obelets and his father with some of the pioneering projects that they did. People really questioning why the investment, but they're looking like the smartest guys in the room, quite frankly, at this point in time. Changes in the family structure, people getting married older, it is a benefit to the urban environment, quite frankly. I'll also say that the way that government is done around here now, it's a much more collaborative approach to what we do, working with our partners at the county and the state level. We've cut taxes substantially, frozen the assessment for a while to make it more affordable to live in the city, cutting building permit fees so that these projects can move forward. We have aggressive incentives with the 485A. The mayor had worked for an adaptive reuse policy at ECIDA. A lot of this growth is happening in our wonderful historic buildings that we have in the city of Buffalo. And I also have to say planning, working with the Buffalo Niagara Partnership and other groups, working on initiatives like the Buffalo Building Reuse Program, where we were able to identify needs, the impediments, the barriers that were slowing down development in the city of Buffalo. Creating a new loan program along those lines, marketing, a development coordinator, loan programs, then also associated with planning, a land use plan that is now available for review, identifying things like the Knowledge Corridor. Buffalo's economy was largely defined by an older corridor, a belt line, that was connected by rail. Still, rail is part of this along the Metro Rail, and utilizing the Metro Rail, which connects a lot of the fundamental components of our economy, 21st century economy of Buffalo today, which again we call the Knowledge Corridor, which includes Medaille, which includes the University of Buffalo, the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, and the lifestyle in downtown Buffalo in terms of the entertainment corridor and canal side, of course. And I already mentioned the Green Code in terms of transforming the development infrastructure. Although it's not in place yet, the conversations that we've had with the community, over 5,000 to date, have been extremely beneficial. Infrastructure investment has been a huge part of our strategy, so less direct investment to developers and more investment in terms of in our public infrastructure. The Tiger Grant for the 500 block of Main Street has been transformational for what is happening along there, including residential, owner-occupied homes, people buying these 3- to 4-story historic buildings to make them owner-occupied and living in at this point in time. And then I can't leave out some of the other aspects in terms of the historic tax credit program, the brownfield tax credit program. Without those programs, a lot of the, again, historic stock in the city of Buffalo wouldn't be occurring. And one of the interesting points, though, that I want to make about some of the government initiatives and programs, though, is the Buffalo Billion, which of course is what most of us talk about. And the Buffalo Billion has done a significant amount for the psychology of what's going on, and many of the jobs haven't arrived yet. That impact hasn't even arrived yet. It certainly has helped in terms of construction jobs, there's no question, but the permanent jobs for many of those for many of those initiatives haven't happened yet. So there's a boom, and I think that's why there is a boom going on in the city of Buffalo. But here's why I want to distinguish. Is Buffalo a housing boom town, which is what the question was? And that, I would say, no. We are not yet a housing boom town. And I want to talk a little bit why I don't think we're a housing boom town yet. And this is where Portland, Austin, and Denver, I'll throw out quickly in terms of where I could easily say housing boom towns. One of the experiences I had when I was in London was meeting an Israeli in a pub and going up and chatting with him just quickly. And he said he was traveling, and I said, "Where are you traveling to?" He said, "I'm traveling to Portland." And I said, "Why are you traveling to Portland?" He said, "It's so cool." I said, "Have you ever been there before?" He said, "No, I've never been to Portland in my life." "Well, then how do you know it's cool?" He's like, "I'm just going there because, you know, it's so cool." And so I think that type of experience, Buffalo's getting a great reputation, but it doesn't necessarily have something like that yet where, and this is maybe some of the developers who are in the room and the panel later will disagree with me on this, but when we aren't subsidizing their projects, then I think at that point in time, then that's a real good measure in terms of a boom town. But I am going to say that we need to subsidize their projects still. I think that's an important distinction to make, that a lot of what has happened is because of the subsidy that has gone in there, but it will be a great measure to be a boom town when we don't actually need to do that. We also have still significant challenges in terms of the fact that we have some of the lowest median housing values in the county, the oldest housing stock in the country, plagued with challenges of lead paint, and still some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city of Buffalo. Those are challenges yet to be addressed, and this boom helps us, but again, it distinguishes us, I think, from necessarily being a boom town. The economic growth that is happening, I think, is also something that we cannot take our eye off the ball on. If 1,500 Solar City employees build 1,500 new homes in the urban periphery, then we are likely going to have greater challenges ahead of us as we support this additional infrastructure in the area with our tax base. So we must be really, we have a keen focus, the mayor has a keen focus on making sure that as many of those employment opportunities that are created by this new economy that we are fortunate to benefit from in terms of the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus and the Buffalo Billion, as many of those jobs stay in the city of Buffalo as possible. It's good for the city, it's good for the region as well. So again, it is an irony that one of the reasons that we have the boom is because I think government has been very strategic with its incentives, but at the same time, it's one of the measures I think where we're not necessarily, can't say that we are a boom town. Schools, I'll just throw the schools out there. That is certainly a challenge for us in terms of the region, in terms of what we must do. And we still have to address the fact that we have some of the most segregated neighborhoods in the country, unfortunately. And until we address that, I think it's going to be a real impediment to a true boom that we could experience here. It's also a challenge where I think this is where government needs to stay involved, that many of the projects that are easier, if you will, have been done. And let me say, first of all, I recognize that all of you, none of them are easy. But there are a lot of the challenges going on right now in terms of the projects. It's the infill that we need to see in our neighborhoods. And a lot of the developers in these suburbs, anyway, can get a 15-acre tract and have nothing to worry about except for grass, of course wetlands maybe or something of that nature, but it's a much easier approach to development. Those large types of sites are gone. or in the city of Buffalo. So it requires weaving in the development into existing neighborhoods in the city of Buffalo and doing it in a way that's respectful of the people who live there as well. Even some of the large projects, Simonelli's Highland Park, which is a tremendous project. It required a significant amount of government involvement to get to the point that it is today, to make sure that that blighting influence could be removed. Tia Montante's Gate Circle, that is as well another one. It was great to see that implosion, quite frankly, and to see what will come from that. And on the horizon, Women's and Children's Hospital and the ultimate redevelopment of that. All of them challenges waiting for us. So I think there is nonetheless great benefit for the person who can crack the code, the developer who can crack the code in terms of that type of development. But again, government must stay involved to assist with that. I really do believe, though, to the ultimate objective of whether we can be a boomtown, I don't think it's a question. We love Buffalo. I mean, it's got so much going for it, and I really do think we can, it's not hard to convince people of a lot of those great assets. The great buildings, the great neighborhoods, the great environmental assets we have. Water in the next 50 years is, and that advantage that we have. Our great waterfront, which we are redeveloping at this point in time. The problems, again, that I've listed, many of them are known to us, and there are many people putting, many very good people putting their mind and their money behind addressing these problems with things like Say Yes and the Buffalo Promise neighborhood. The Mayor's Opportunity Pledge and the community benefit agreements that we have to address these types of persistent issues in Buffalo that we must address if we're ever to be that type of a boomtown. And I think it's important to note that Steve Case recently, when he was in town, one of the premier entrepreneurs in the country, had talked about the fact, he looked out at the audience in one of his presentations and he said, well, inclusion. You got to work on inclusion in Buffalo. So that's not just a feel-good sentiment, that's an economic development sentiment. The point being is that I suppose the mission accomplished sign should not be put up yet for what we need to do in the city of Buffalo. There, we can feel good, let me say, we can feel really good about what's happened in the city of Buffalo, but there's still much to do for what we want to do. Government, and again, this is my bias for what we do, for what the mayor is leading with many others here. Government must continue to be involved and cannot shy away from looking at the bigger picture in terms of what we're doing, in terms of adaptive reuse. We need to make sure that as we're working on these older buildings, and even right now converting surface parking lots into their higher and better uses of residential and retail, that we should be participating in that to make sure that we are filling any of the gaps that remain. It's a mathematical equation at the end of the day to get to the point of whether something will go forward or not. So again, is there a boom? Yes. Are we a boomtown yet? No. Can we be? Yes. And again, to go back to Steve Case from AOL and what he had to say, now is not the time to take your foot off of the pedal. So we in the mayor's office, Mayor Brown and others, intend to actually put our foot down harder on that pedal to continue this boom and to work with the community to see that we get this boom town, this exciting town that we all believe that we can have in the city of Buffalo. So I want to thank you for your time tonight. I'll be back up here again later on in terms of the panel. Now you have some really distinguished speakers in terms of the developers themselves to talk about how they also helped to make it happen, of course, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Hi, my name's John Crawford. I'm the Vice President for College Relations at Medaille, and it's a lot of people here today, a lot of very distinguished good friends here. It's nice to see a good crowd. There's a couple of shout-outs I wanted to give before I introduce the panelists today. Where is our friend Horace Joya? Where's Horace? There is Horace in the back. Horace is our trustee who started the speaker series probably going back 3 years ago or so. And good crowd today. I think this is maybe one of the better Buffalo Future Series that we've had. So thank you, Horace. I also want to recognize I also wanted to thank our trustee Rocco Termini, who actually suggested the panelists tonight, and I think it's Rocco's suggestion that really made the evening a great panel. So, Rocco. Just a couple other people that I wanted to recognize. Christy Frontera in our office, who did such a nice job with all the logistics today. I'm not sure if Christy's here, but thanks, Christy. And Stephanie Zakowicz, who actually, this event is her brainchild, as a matter of fact. She came up with the base question for this evening, worked with the panelists, did a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. So, Stephanie, great job. Just a reminder, I think as everybody walked in, you've got a 3x5 index card. So for the question and answer session, make sure you write your questions down. They'll come down to the front, and we'll sort through them and try to get everybody's questions answered. We will probably have to group some questions into categories and things like that. So don't be surprised or disappointed if your question specifically doesn't get addressed. So moving on to our panel today, I'd like to start by introducing the moderator, Jonathan Epstein. Jonathan? You may recognize Jonathan from the Buffalo News. He has been working as a reporter for the past 21 years and most recent 11 years at the Buffalo News, and considers development to be one of his specialty topics. He's a graduate of Columbia School of Journalism, where he earned his master's degree, and the University of Rochester, where he earned his undergraduate degree. Now for our panelists. Paul Simonelli is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Simonelli Real Estate Corporation. He has played a key role in positioning and obtaining many of the company's key projects over the last 2 decades. Some of those projects include the Bethune Lofts, Conventus, and they're planning residential projects on Elmwood Avenue and the waterfront. Welcome, Paul. Nick Sinatra, CEO of Sinatra & Company Real Estate, is known for his creative reuse of historical properties, including Fenton Village, Wayne and Waldorf, and the Phoenix. He founded his company in 2009, previously served